The newest Game Boy Color homebrew release, Cowboy, is now available, and it's one that I've been looking forward to quite a bit since I first previewed it about 2 months ago. I did a video on upcoming Game Boy Color homebrews, and this was my favorite out of the batch. And if you haven't seen that video yet, definitely check the description box below and check out the other games that I showcase, because there's some awesome looking Game Boy Color homebrews on the horizon. So in Cowboy, which is an action platformer, you're gonna play as an amphibious cowboy armed with a 6-shooter and the ability to inhale enemies similar to Kirby. You're gonna blast your way through 5 different worlds, each with their own theme, and each one culminating and being guarded by one of the Furious 5. Each of these worlds has 5 different levels, and then additionally a boss fight, although only 4 of the 5 levels is actually required for progression. In fact, in order to unlock the 5th level, you have to collect all 3 of the big coins on each level in that world. This reminded me quite a bit of like the Yoshi coins from Super Mario World, and I'm sure that's probably the inspiration and the intent here, and you will see some pretty clear inspiration throughout the level designs from Kirby and Mario as you play through this, but it genuinely had something interesting throughout each of the 5 worlds. Each one felt completely different than the others. And the same could be said for the boss fights, which are all completely different, a decent challenge but not too frustrating, and really satisfying to overcome. As you play through each of the levels, you can switch quickly and easily to your 6-shooter, but you only have a limited amount of ammunition, so for the most part, I played through this as if it was Kirby, inhaled enemies, and just spit them out to take out whatever I needed to, but the gun is there and it's always at the ready. Press the select button and you're blasting away baddies. It also gives you some added range, since when you spit out enemies, it's more of a close range attack. There are hidden secrets, and there's also checkpoints. You're gonna have a little friend here that always sitting at a campfire, roasting up a hot dog, and if you wanna activate the checkpoint, it'll cost you 10 coins. Additionally though, it will fill your health, and it will also fill your ammo. Coins in this are pretty plentiful, and I never felt like I didn't have enough money to activate a checkpoint, and if for some reason you don't have enough, you can simply cash in one of your lives for 100 coins and then activate the checkpoint. And the same goes the other way around. When you collect 100 coins, you're gonna get a 1-up. Occasionally, enemies will also drop hearts, which replenish your health. You can take 2 hits, and then on the 3rd hit, you're gonna meet your demise. There's also quite a few pits that you're gonna fall in, and this was probably the bulk of my deaths, especially on some of the minecart levels. For those of you that are around my age and you were scarred by the minecart levels in the Donkey Kong Country series, there are some of those here, but they're a lot more forgiving because I think the control is a lot more fluid. And I could say that about the controls just in general, not just in the minecart, but also on the ground, and when you're in the boot, and when you're swimming. Always have perfect control over your character where you land. It feels tight and responsive. You're also treated to some really great pixel art, and that goes not just for the gameplay, but also the cutscenes. There's some really great portrait style cutscenes that tell you the story in between each of the worlds. And then another thing that is an absolute highlight for Cowboy is the soundtrack. Each world has its own track, and they're all fantastic, especially by Game Boy Color standards, which doesn't necessarily have the best of sound chips, but here it's really solid. I had an absolutely amazing time playing through Cowboy, and I know it's weird to say this in 2025 because, you know, for the most part, my top 10 for Game Boy Color games has been set in stone for decades. Recently, I have added one other game, being Winsley's Guardian, to my top 10 list, but here's another one. Cowboy is easily one of my favorite Game Boy Color games that I've ever played. I sat there and played through it for this review pretty much in 2 sessions because I simply did not want to put this game down. As far as homebrews go for Game Boy Color releases, this one, as far as I'm concerned, is at the top of the mountain. It's an absolute blast. It's very well balanced, it has great controls, graphics, and music. This really rounds it out to be the complete package. I highly suggest you pick this up. So if you're interested in doing so, check the pinned comment below, as I will have a link to the itch.io page where you can pick up a copy, and it's available in both the ROM format and the .pocket format, so if you have an analog pocket, you can absolutely play it that way. Any other emulation device should play this. As I previously mentioned, I did play it on my Ambernic and it ran fantastic, but you could also play it on PC if you just want to use a regular PC emulator. It doesn't matter. Just get this game and play it because it's absolutely wonderful from start to finish. It'll never frustrate you, or at least it didn't for me. It has a perfect gradual difficulty level where it's constantly an uphill slope. In the beginning, it's pretty easy, little harder, little harder, little harder, and then by the end, you're gonna definitely be really challenged in the final few levels and the final boss. But if you're like me and you do enjoy a challenge, you simply cannot miss this one. Special thanks to Mike, the developer of the game, for allowing me to review it. I've been looking forward to this one, and I was so excited to cover it on my channel. I love covering games like this that are just amazing, and even more specifically when they're on retro hardware, because there is a soft spot in my heart for retro-styled games. Thank you to all of you for watching my review of Cowboy. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like. Comment below if you have any questions on the game, if there's anything I missed, and additionally, if there are any other homebrews that you know of that are upcoming for Game Boy Color or NES or any of the, retro systems like that in the 8-bit to 32-bit era, please let me know in the comments because I'm always looking for more. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because I cover a ton of different indie games, not just retro, but also modern as well. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.